Hello, everyone. I'm Marty Chinesky, and along with my buddy Ken Brown, we are your host of the Local Sports Wrap-Up here on Channel 15, Wyandotte Cable, and YouTube. Local Sports Wrap-Up. Today is September 30th, last day of September.
All right.
And October's right around the corner. Weather's going to get cold, then the weather's going to get a little nice, and it's going to get really cold. So that's how it works. Ken, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. How you been?
Everything's good, man. Good to see you, Marty. I'm glad to be back. I saw you and Purdue last week, and you guys did a great job.
Yes, he said he knows you because he taught both your kids when he was the middle school teacher, and parent conference probably. He's
Definitely.
Probably met you where they make you sit outside in the hallway, wait your turn.
Yeah. No.
Get 5 minutes with the teacher next.
No, Mr. Purdue is great, and his wife was working at the school as well. So, no, I was glad to see him, and he's the voice of Wyandotte football.
He is. He announces the games up there in the press box and does a great job. I think, he does a great job on those games.
Yeah.
And he's on the cable too.
Okay.
So
yeah, he does a great job. Great voice.
Speaking of football, our local team is 2-0 after a great win at Woodhaven. They beat a not very strong Lincoln Park team. I don't know the score of that game. What was the score of that game?
Yeah, Wyandotte whooped on Lincoln Park 38-0. Jalen Pritchard was 7 for 13, passing with 151 yards, 2 touchdowns, and even rushed for a 50-yard score. The kid's phenomenal. He had a great week against Woodhaven the week before. He had the interception on defense. So it seems like they're moving right along. Also, Richard Clark had 2 catches, 81 yards, and a touchdown. And Anthony Peterson had 3 catches for 42 yards. So Wyandotte must be throwing the ball a little bit.
I would think in a game like that he doesn't play defense.
Okay.
Wouldn't you think? If you were the coach after it got up to 14 and it was lopsided 21, however it progressed, don't you think you'd just let your quarterback play quarterback and a second string safety could go out there and that's just me.
I'm sure once he got to a point where they were up pretty good, he was going to rest him in the defensive backfield. It only makes sense because of the chance of injury, and their numbers are way down this year compared to previous years. But they seem like they're working it. 2-0, heading into next week where they play Taylor High. So it should be a good game because Taylor actually. I know they look good the first week. I think you may have the Taylor score over there.
I don't.
No, I do. Taylor lost to Trenton 22-7.
Okay.
So
Trenton's a solid team. Woodhaven went into Allen Park and took care of business, 16-8 after we put a little bit of a whooping on Woodhaven. Anytime Woodhaven loses, Wyandotte is happy. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they're strong. They're strong in everything they do. It was 16-8. Romantic Kaiser rushed for 2 touchdowns for Woodhaven. Romantic.
I love that name. It's got to be Romeo, right?
They got to call him Romeo.
They got to call him Romeo.
You would think. I would think.
Yeah.
And then the only score for Allen Park, they blocked a punt in the end zone. And Owen Alvarez scooped it up. So Allen Park couldn't get any offense going after they beat Trenton, I believe, the week before.
Right.
So interesting how it's all going to play out. Woodhaven's going to Southgate next week, and Allen Park is playing a non-league game with Ferndale.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that all plays out. Carlson rolled Etzel Ford, 42-0. I bet some of these schools can't wait to get Etzel Ford whatever week that might be. But you're only playing 6 games. You may not see them.
Right.
You know, if you're lucky, you catch them. If you don't,
I know in that Trenton game, Joseph Sarnecki actually had 3 touchdowns. So when they beat Taylor 22-7, Trenton Kornecki was in the end zone. Yeah, he was in the end zone. And you mentioned Southgate, right? Southgate, they played on their first game at their new turf stadium.
Ah.
Yeah. That was the good news. They ended up losing to Bay City Western 55-7. So
that's the bad news.
It was a fast track, I think. Yeah. So
must have been. Yeah, definitely.
And next up for the Titans, who they actually won the first week, so they're 1-0, and that was in conference. They're 1-0 in the Downriver League. Is a home game next Friday against Woodhaven. So they'll actually get a chance to see what Woodhaven and Romeo is made of, I guess.
And Melvindale's 0-2 now. Their football team is nowhere near as strong as their soccer team. They lost to Crestwood 37-14. And Rouge lost to East Lansing. They went up to East Lansing and played them. It was 21-6. Rouge's first loss since week 1 of 2019.
Yeah, they're defending state champs, yeah.
So they lost in week 1 and then rolled the table. And they're gonna, apparently they lost in week 2 and they're gonna have to start rolling the table. But I'm sure they, there's good teams out there any given day. And lack of fans, makes it different without a doubt. It's funny you said new field in Southgate. That field must not be level. It was tilted the wrong way there.
Definitely, yeah.
But, the lack of fans, you say you got to catch a game a week ago?
Yeah, so I went to Ypsi played Saline. My uncle's the coach at Ypsi, and then what they have going on is there are only 2 fans per player or coach. So we got in, we watched the game. The difference is that you can hear everything. I mean, you can hear audibles, so if you scout right, you can have an advantage. But what we've also noticed is if your quarterback has a good hard count, he can get the other team to jump off sides, especially in the early season when you, I guess they're less disciplined because there's no scrimmages. There was no controlled scrimmage, no 7-on-7s or anything like that. So the linemen aren't ready, and defense is normally ahead of the curve compared to offense, and I think that's why Wyandotte scored the defensive touchdown the first week, and that's my opinion. But anyway, I just think that you don't have any home court advantage. It's just taking advantage of the audibles and listening what the other teams are doing.
And I believe that's true in the NFL as well, because teams are going into stadiums that are ridiculously loud and not having a problem whatsoever, like say the Silverdome, and not the Superdome.
I got you.
I used to have season tickets at the Silverdome way back in the day when Barry would run the ball. The Superdome, it's a crazy place to see a game. It's so loud. Yeah. It's so loud. And these other opposing quarterbacks are going in there, and it's just like playing in their backyard.
Yeah. Yeah. It's everybody's on a home team because there's no home, no advantage. But I don't know. I was reading today. It seems like the Michigan high school sports is changing on October 9th, where they're going to let more fans in instead of the 2 per player. How do you feel about that?
We talked earlier. You say 1,000 people may be able to attend now. Is that both sides of the field?
Yeah. Social distancing.
Yeah, social distancing will be lacking. Wear your mask even outside. I don't like crowds. Okay, right now I'm not a germaphobe either, but I'm telling you, I keep my distance. The only crowd I like is a foursome on the golf course right now.
Right.
I'm not even going indoors to do much of anything. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this, but because people are getting complacent. Yeah. And if you just beware. I mean, you're going to catch something and take it home to grandma or grandpa, and then you're not going to see grandma or grandpa for the next 3 months. Yeah.
But as they roll out the plan, I think it'll show that it's been thought about to say, okay, you stay in your group and you stay in this, and that 1,000 people was based on the capacity of the stadium that you sit in, right? Okay. So it may be smaller for some smaller schools, maybe 500. So I think they're going to try to do it as safe as possible, and it'll be kind of cool to have kids at the game. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll roll from football to the other football. Riverview went into Grosseal the other day. And they call it the pitch, the field they play on.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. And Riverview beat Grosseal 2-1. The host Pirates. Grosseal came to Riverview. And they rallied back with 2 goals in the second half, including one with about a minute to go, to stun the defending Division III state champs and visitors from the island by a final of 2-1. Both teams were combined 13-0-1 this year when they met. Not bad. And
I think kind of the amazing thing about that, as you talked about earlier, was that was the first time in 69 games that Grosse Ile hadn't lost. They had tied before, but they had 69 league games in a row where they hadn't lost.
That's crazy.
And I want to say it was 24 overall. They're like a phenomenal machine, and they end up getting taken down, huh?
That's I believe the first time Riverview beat them since 15 or something like that.
Okay, good.
Like some crazy number like that. Like 5 years they've been playing them, probably twice a year. We played home and home. Yeah. And first time they beat them in 5 years. But they've got a lot of, it all goes with the seniors and the experience. You know, they've got more. Grosse Ile lost a lot.
Yeah.
You know, so they're going to have to, you know, the JV kids that were or are have to step up.
Yeah.
And they'll get the experience, and next year they'll be better, and you hope that's how it works.
Yeah, and they start to streak over.
Yeah, well, there you go, yeah. First time they lost in 24 games, it's probably 2 years of season.
Yeah, that's definitely a top soccer program or a football program downriver. Yeah, downriver, so that's exciting. Yeah.
Oh, here's one for you. The result marked just the 7th defeat for Grosse Ile in 110 games played since their coach Evans took over at the start of the 2016 season. So they've lost 7 times since 2016. Not bad.
Yeah, not bad
it's
at
about
all.
1.5 a year. That's pretty, like you say, that's a pretty solid program.
Yeah, no, they're running the way things are supposed to be ran. Back to American football, Flat Rock, you know, they lost this weekend too. They lost 28-6 to Monroe SMCC.
St. Mary Catholic Central.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. So they lost to them 28-6.
The quiz will be later, folks.
Yeah, and that kind of wraps up the whole downriver football part. I don't know. I'm happy. I'm happy that the kids are getting an opportunity to play, and they're doing it in a safe possible manner. The game that I went to was definitely social distancing. They did not. We didn't pay. We didn't touch money. We just went in, sat down. You sat with your family unit, and you spread out. So it was safe. I think that the kids, I saw some masks coming down during the game, you know, and they did their best. They had those sleeves, so they were trying to keep them up, you know, but it looked like a safe and good environment, man. I'm happy for the 2020 kids to, or if they're 2021 kids, to get an opportunity to do something this fall. So.
Yeah, and you know, volleyball's kicked back up, and they're playing with masks. We have last week's result. Wyandotte played last week when we were taping. They played Allen Park, and Allen Park got by them 3-1. Allen Park's 2-0 in the Downriver League, and Roosevelt's 2-1 in the Downriver League. So they're both competitive, but they're wearing their masks on the inside. I 2 people per. I know that's the same thing to get in there. Mr. Wilson will be in there, though. He's got executive privileges. We've had Tom on this show. He does a lot for women's sports and gives out, you know, thousands of dollars at the end of every year. You know, every little bit helps, as you know, having 2 kids in college. Yeah. I've only got 1 now.
Yeah.
It's much nicer having only 1 now, but it's still, you know, it's a big hit. It's a big hit either way. Even if they get assistance, it's still a big hit because, you know,
I thought it was always amazing how Mr. Wilson supported all the girls' events and programs. And
he said every softball game. He said every basketball game. He said every. I tried to get him to some of the bowling meets. You know, I said, come on, Tom, you gotta come out to the bowling meets, you know. But he wouldn't like that. He can't yell and scream at the other team and all that stuff. And,
no, I've had some great times watching him, man. You know it. Yeah.
We sit with him. Yeah, we have a blast, especially in softball. He's a blast. Volleyball too. Sitting with him in volleyball is fun because he knows all the girls. He gets a list when he watches the 9th grade, and like I said, he does a lot for them. He does quite a bit, giving away, you know, $7,000-8,000 every year.
Yeah, scholarships and everything. Great guy. I'm glad.
And Trenton beat Woodhaven. We beat Woodhaven, and then Trenton beat Woodhaven. What's going on with Woodhaven in volleyball? I only have a couple of things here. They beat them 3-0. You know, Trenton went in there, so that's a that's going to be a good little. I think the league is pretty balanced this year. Can't get off. You know, Woodhaven had 12-0 run through the league last year. They were the volleyball, you know, queens. Yeah. And now, you know, Trenton goes in there and beats them. They got a new coach though.
Okay.
Her name is Jillian Romaine. She's taken over the program, and we'll see how it goes. She seems to be having success.
But Woodhaven, you know, they're probably going through a little growing pains, but I'm sure they'll shake out of it.
Yeah, you know, I don't have any, like the golf results. We try to look for all that stuff when we do this kind of show. But we get what we have. Here's one for you. Allen Park has an equestrian team.
What?
Yes, Allen Park. So does Woodhaven.
Ooh.
No, not Woodhaven. Carlson. Let me see. Yes, and both of those teams advanced to the District 7, Class D District 7 championships, which means they're going to regionals.
Okay.
Allen Park team features Camille Kramer and Brooke Janah. They finished in first place with a score of 184 points. Don't ask me how they get them. Play that number in the 3-digit. If
it came yesterday.
184?
Yeah. Is that crazy?
That's funny.
Yeah.
I printed this today. I'm a day late. Second place for the day was Gibraltar Carlson. Both Allen Park and Carlson advanced to regionals. Okay, so for Allen Park, Kramer earned 2 third-place places in reining.
R-E?
R-E-I-N-I-N-G.
Okay.
So that must be, got to hold the horse, steer the horse. She had a 4th place and a 6th place in Western bareback.
Okay, that's tough.
So, can imagine you don't have a saddle.
Yeah.
You still got to have straps, don't you think? You got to have the
rein, right?
The rein, yeah. 7th place and 6th place in trail, and a 7th place in hunt equation, and an 8th place in hunt bareback.
So Allen Park, yeah.
You want to email us at localsportswrapup@gmail.com and tell us what the heck we're talking about. Janelle she was better. She had 2 first places, 3 second places, and a 3rd place in fitting and showing classes. You know, she picked up a 2nd place in hunt equitation.
All right. There it
2nd and 6th in hunt seat bareback, 2 4th places in Western equitation, 5th and 6th places in Western bareback, and a 6th place finish in the stake race.
Okay. No.
I'm just going to say this out loud. I never knew a high school team had equestrian, which is pretty amazing. I'm sure, you know, the horses and all that are taken care of by the kids. It's their horses. They're in a stable somewhere. But I know the northern schools have ski teams. You know, they do the downhill skiing and the moguls and all that. Because they've had all them, you know, mountains up at Boyne and everything else, which I've had skis on maybe twice in my life, and it was teenage Marty. Yeah. You know, this old guy now. Oh yeah.
Make a pizza with your feet. Yeah.
I will say, one time I went down the big hill. I went down in tuck position at about 17 years old. I just, as fast as I could. Thank God no one got in my way. And then it went up at the end, so I was able to stop. I remember that vividly, and that's like one of the last times I ever did any snow skiing. I wanted to get my kids started in it, but I think they went on a couple field trips doing it, but I never went with them.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Too old to fall, man.
Yeah.
Now I am.
Yeah, we become brittle. Yeah, we become brittle. And I don't know. When I was at Ferris, we had the opportunity to go skiing a couple times, and I mean, it's fun. But I'm still on the Kitty Hill. Make a pizza. Make a pizza. That's how you stop.
You're athletic, though.
Yeah.
You are athletic.
But I never wanted to fall.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, you know, that snow is usually packed, and it's ice, and it's hard.
No, that's fine.
It's entertaining.
And there's a lot of other great things you can do at a ski lodge.
Oh, yeah. Especially if you're old enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spend a lot of time at the fireplace.
So I see you you hit the suicide last week.
Yes, I did. My team hit. I picked. Who did I pick last Sunday? I picked Indianapolis. That was a roll.
Yeah.
Now I like to get into the NFL. I like the Rams are hosting the terrible Giants. Now 48% of the pool took Indianapolis.
Last week?
Yes. So had there been an upset, 48% of the pool would have been out.
I got you.
And I expect the same this week. I expect a lot of teams to pick the Rams if they have them available. Like I can't use the Steelers, I can't use Minnesota, and I can't use Indianapolis. Did I use Minnesota? I did.
No. Because those are the teams that you've already used. I got you.
I haven't used Minnesota because they haven't won yet.
Yeah.
I can't remember last week, let alone yesterday.
And you won't be able to use Minnesota this week because they've postponed it. They had a COVID outbreak.
Yeah, that's another tricky thing. You got to make sure your team's playing. Now, COVID, we were talking this. We could make this the COVID edition because the NFL has had fans in some stadiums and not in others. I like the way they're doing it, limiting to 7-8 grand. They're not really serving anything. They might be serving some beer, but they're not serving food. And everybody has to wear their mask while they're inside. But by the way, wear your mask, people. We have been. We wear it every time until the cameras come on, then we take it off. Otherwise, you won't know what the heck we're saying.
It'll be a little different.
Wear your mask. But I think the home crowd, what little bit there is, would help. Because as we were discussing, you can hear everything. Even the defense can hear the audibles, and if they have, as you say, the NFL, they have tapes and tapes and tapes, they'll catch on. At the high school level, I think going into rowdy stadiums was always difficult.
Yeah.
Even when you went to play a bad team at their place, good coaches teach their kids how to just execute.
Yeah.
Just execute. Run that play in practice 35 times.
Yeah.
And then run the next play 35 times. I mean, I quit playing football in 9th grade, so.
Yeah, but it's good to change like snap counts and different things like that. So that helps when there's nobody around it. If the quarterback's not doing it, you're hurt. But what about Major League Baseball? You like how they're doing it?
Playoffs started yesterday. Were there any people in any of those stands? Because that's the home. Yeah, baseball crowds can get loud and rowdy. You see pitchers out there, sweating it a little bit. They got to bring it in. It's weird. It's weird watching a baseball game, and they had their first round start, and somebody's already been eliminated. Minnesota's already been eliminated.
So they must have lost today. They lost yesterday and then today.
Correct.
I like how they're doing it, though. I like 16 teams, playoff 2 out of 3. It gives it more like a tournament feel. Almost anybody can win. You can't ride that hot arm like if Verlander or Jack Morris back in the day. You couldn't go play. He's going to pitch game 1, game 4, and game 7. You better get your doggies aligned quick. You know what I mean? You're going to have some depth in that bullpen so that you can win.
Correct. Yeah, the way they did it too, the wild card games were 2 out of 3 instead of one game and out.
Yeah.
Which are exciting. Don't get me wrong. But 2 out of 3, at least you can lose the first one and still have life.
I like that.
I know the Yankees slapped Cleveland yesterday, like 12-3 or 12-2.
Yeah.
I haven't watched a whole lot of baseball. I was watching the Tigers when they were going. But sometimes I get trapped. I don't have control of the TV in my house.
Yeah.
Sometimes, not all the time.
Same.
Because if Kimmy's going to hear me say this, when we watch it at home, she's going to say, oh, yeah, you got that remote in your hand all the time. No, honey, I don't. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
But after we get done with watching whatever, it's, you got so many options these days, with the Netflix and all the other stuff, and Disney Plus.
Yeah. I think the weird thing, you said you watched the Tigers, they were only really 9 games out of the playoffs.
Yeah, isn't that something?
I mean, I think that's cool that it was only 60 games and that everybody had a chance, man. Like, that's all you want is a chance, right?
They were in the hunt 2 weeks to go. They were like, all they had to do was win, maybe 50% of their games and they would have made it in. And, they just are not a good team.
No.
They're
Young.
Yeah. Defensively, they could use some work. Offensively, they're learning. They got a couple of guys hit 300. You know, and Miggy's a slow starter. Miggy turned around and towards the end was hitting the ball, but his April and May are always atrocious. And then he gets off the field in September and he's hit 310.
You're right.
You know,
You're right.
He's got 40 bombs and, 100 RBIs. He's always been like that. That's why I thought the 60 games wouldn't help him, because he did start slow. He was right around 200 or under, and ended up like 250, 260. He was working it back up there.
Oh, yeah.
But he's Miggy, man. He's the best hitter in baseball.
Man,
Was.
Yeah, I love watching that guy hit. I'll stop wherever I'm at in the room. Like, oh,
Everybody in the stadium would stop when he'd come up to bat. Like when Cecil Fielder would come up to bat, the whole stadium would stop. The vending guys would stop. Everybody would stop just to watch him hit.
Yeah.
So let's see. I picked Indy this week, the fantasy football, since no Minnesota people may not play and the Titans may not play. Who do you like? What do you like, Mr. Fantasy, in 4 leagues?
Yeah.
Make any money 2 weeks ago?
I did with the Stafford, and I told you Zeke Elliott probably would have went Dak Prescott that way, but I think overall, and in my strategy for the suicide was go against the Jets, right? And that's exactly what the 49ers the first week, and then you said you had Indy last week. I like your pick with the Rams. Suicide, but I'll go Dallas Cowboys over the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Dallas needs a win.
They do need a win.
Bad,
They do need a win.
as far as fantasy.
You can only play the guys you have, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's all you can do.
You know what always got me about fantasy, always really rubbed me bad, because you'd have like 5 running backs, you get to play 2. Points on the bench. When I wouldn't play the right guy some week and he'd go off for 25 or 30 points, and he had no business going off for 25 or 30 because you're playing your horse,
Yeah.
And your horse does nothing. Points on the bench used to bother me big time.
You got to look at it. But I'm thinking Nick Foles, because he's going to start for the Bears this week, and Jimmy Graham. That 2 combo, I would stack that, in FanDuel or something. Jimmy Graham and Nick Foles.
Okay, couple of quarterbacks get you the most points.
No, Graham's tight end, but go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm not in it. I'm not in the game anymore. Don't forget to get a hold of us at localsportswrapup@gmail.com. Look us up on YouTube. All the episodes are up there on YouTube. If you're having Ken withdrawals, we got another Ken here. But if you're having Ken withdrawals, you can look him up on YouTube. We talked to him before the show.
Yeah.
He's still Ken. He's still funny. He's still Ken. We love him dearly. And so we've got 2 weeks. You'll be back. He likes this routine. Purdue likes this routine. Someday I'm going to get a week off. But nope, everybody's shaking their Who would do all the paperwork?
Yeah, who would do all the
hey,
paperwork?
if I wasn't here, who'd find out Ellen Park had an equestrian team?
Yeah.
Nobody. So Local Sports Wrap Up at Gmail. YouTube, us, find all our episodes. Ken, I enjoy it every time when you're here. And knowing you since our kids were this big, and now they're grown women.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
See you in 2 weeks. Well, he'll see you in 2 weeks. I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah. Happy anniversary.
Honey.